name is JF Lauiner. I'm from JF Kustoms in British Columbia, Canada. Years ago I had a Riviera, and it was always in my head that I'd like to get another one. A few years back I decided I was going to build a street machine. You know me from before, I've always built very custom cars, very late 50s, early 50s cars. I knew I had to build the street machine to prove my abilities in other genres. And that's when I started. I thought, what am I going to do in a field of 69 Camaros? I'm a customizer, I need something that'll be very unique. And starting with the platform of the Riviera, I was able to morph and put the 71 boat tail rear window in it. This car sort of started to take shape as a GM concept. Say, what if the engineers at Buick had sort of looked over the wall at what the engineers at GM were doing in '62 and said, wow, that Stingray split window is going to be wicked. We also need a two-seater sports coupe. So it really is that. It's a believable prototype. There's a 2-foot section in the middle of the door that hasn't been altered, and that's it. Sort of starting front to back, the car, of course, on the roof line has had the roof change, right? So the car now no longer sports a 63 roof. Front end, the hood's been welded shut at the front so that it allows the hood to open backwards like a Corvette, giving it still that GM flavor, GM design sort of look. The wheel well arches have been moved forward 3 inches on the front fenders, and I had to actually physically hand build all the sheet metal on the front fenders to be able to allow it to be 3/4 of an inch wider at the apexes of the fenders. That way when you're looking down the nose of the car, it gets bigger where the tires are, becomes slender again in the middle, and then I completely hand built rear quarter panels and stretched the car 5 inches at the rear to really give it those hips that make it look like it's got some horsepower. And if you can remember the Hemi under glass cars, the neat thing about them as a drag race car is they really had something interesting that you could see in the back window. And I thought to myself, how cool would it be if I designed this car, being that it's really, you can see by looking at it, it looks like an exotic. So most exotics are rear engine, mid-engine, right? So I thought, well, what if we did that? And we placed an engine in the back of the car where it needed to be for the transaxle and the rest of it. What happened is the driver was so close to the windshield and the seat was so far forward, it just gave it a very awkward look. It did not look like something anybody would produce as a production vehicle. That killed that part of the project. So in doing that, I put the motor in the front where it belongs and added a turbo system in the back. So that opening that we had that was going to look good as a mechanical component still has a mechanical component. The exhaust comes up from the floor, goes into the turbos. The turbos then go to an intercooler at the very back of the car, allowing this giant piece of pipe to sit in the car with the passenger, blowing boost right into the intake. GMLS 6.2. They're a great engine, they're predictable, they make good horsepower, and with the twin screws, we'll be able to turn the thing up to 1,000 horsepower if we need. It's the only grade 8 car that got unloaded in the back parking lot and drove itself onto the stands. I've got a really cool rep in Canada that works with me, and in the discussions with him, we were discussing colors, and I said, you know, that street machine needs kind of a drabby color. I think I want a school bus yellow, but we got to play on it so that it's not school bus yellow, you know what I mean? Put some black stripes on it and it would look like a school bus. We're not trying really for that, but I was like, I just want to tone it down a little bit. And from there, obviously, we didn't tone it down very much, right? Things always evolve. Mike and I worked together to get a yellow base on the car and a little bit of a red russet pearl over top of that. It was a different system that we used. Of course, it's BASF's best products. But at the end of the day, the way we sort of overlapped the colors was different than I'd ever done before and he had ever done. We experimented a little bit, created something that has a lot of depth when the light's on it and allows it to just sort of be drab a little bit on the bottom so that it's not in your face the whole time. You can see under this lighting it really shows well. In the sunlight it really shows well. On a cloudy day, the car all of a sudden gets really sinister. It's a really interesting color to play with. Rivieran sunset. I love playing with a shape that already existed or one that I create that looks believable, that looks authentic, that looks like something that you actually just want to touch. It's one of those cars that will get driven. I'm going to burn the tires right off the thing. I've done it in the past and I'll do it again. My goal with the car was to put the thing on asphalt sometime later this year and try and make an attempt at 200 miles an hour in a full-blown show car. It's never been done. When the gloves come off, she's going to be a bad mother.